everyone, on this longest day of the year, June the 21st, 2023. So, welcome Jerry and Miriam and Baruch and Brian to this, and all those who are watching from home. We're going to be talking tonight about the Korach rebellion. There's a lot of people rebelling in the world today, and there certainly are consequences for rebelling against our God. So let's begin by reading again. I just want to say that there's nothing like going to the source. People want to study all the hidden things about the Torah, but that's fine. But God says, I have given you everything you need to know. All you have to do is read it and obey it. So let's go to read the book of Numbers. And Jerry, would you like to begin reading?
Now Korah, the son of Ishar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, with Dathan, Abiram, the sons of Eliab and On, the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took men. And they rose up in face of Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 men. They were princes of the congregation, the elect men of the assembly, men of renown. And they assembled themselves together against Moses and against Aaron, and said unto them, Ye take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Wherefore then lift ye up yourselves above the assembly of the Lord.
Okay, so let's
And
look
when Moses,
hold on, let's look at what we have. We know that Korach is the son of Ishar, the son of Kohat, the son of Levi. So we know the Levites. The Levites, Levi, had three sons, Kahat, Gershom, and Merari. Kahat, I think, was hang on a second. Kahat was the second one. We have Gershom, Kahat, and Merari. Kahat had four children. Amram, who was the father of Moses and Aaron, and then Ishar, who we see here, and two other sons, Hebron and Uziel. So now we see he's one of the people in line for a position. So he rose up with Datan and Abiram. They were sons of Reuben, who were the firstborn in Israel. So the firstborn always had the double inheritance. They had a position. They were the Bechor. They had a position. And they rose up and with 250 men. And these were not just any men, they were princes in their congregation, elect men, men of renown. And they went against Moses. And they didn't go against him by saying something that was a lie. He said, you take too much upon you, seeing that the whole congregation are holy. God had already said that all the children of Israel were holy. And what does holy mean? Separate, separated for God, every one of them. And the Lord is among them. That's true. So he says, why are you lifting yourself up above the assembly of God? Now, we know that that's not true because Moses never wanted a position. He never wanted to be leader. Whereas, on the other hand, these men wanted it. And when people want to be leaders, it's usually for very selfish reasons. Okay, continue.
and when Moses heard it, he fell upon his face, and he spoke unto Korah and unto all his company, saying, in the morning the Lord will show you who are his and who is holy, and will cause him to come near unto him. Even him whom he may choose will he cause to come near unto him. This do, take you censers, Korah, and all his company, and put fire therein, and put incense upon them before the Lord tomorrow. And it shall be that the man whom the Lord doth choose, there's a radio on somewhere. He shall be holy. Ye take too much upon you, ye sons of Levi. And Moses said unto Korah, Hear now, ye sons of Levi, it is but a small thing unto you that the Lord of Israel hath separated you from the congregation of Israel, to bring you near to himself, to do the service of the tabernacle of the Lord, and to stand before. There's a TV or a radio on, Peggy.
I don't have it here. And Brian is on mute, and so is Miriam. So it may be coming from your end because I don't hear it.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah,
Was playing anyhow.
I don't hear it.
And to stand before the congregation to minister unto them.
Okay, so let's look at what's going on. So Moses is saying to Korach, God is going to show you who belongs to him and who's holy. Take the censers. You know, they would take these censers that they would put in the things that they were going to offer, put fire, put incense in them, and bring them to Lord tomorrow. And God will show who he's going to choose. He's leaving it up to God. Okay, continue.
10, 11.
10.
Therefore, thou and all thy company that are gathered together against the Lord.
No, here, you
as
missed
to
this
Aaron,
one. You missed 10 because it says to stand before the
and
congregation.
that he had brought thee near, and all thy brethren, the sons of Levi, with thee. And will ye seek the priesthood also?
So you see, he's already
Therefore,
been given. They have been given things to do. They served in the tent of meeting. Now he's saying, it's not enough what you've been given. You want the priesthood too? And he says, look at this here. So you and your company are gathered together against the Lord. And as for Aaron, what is he that you murmur against him? He's not such a big deal. He's made so many mistakes. But God chose him. Who is he that you should murmur against him? We see this in the world today. Everybody, when they don't like what anybody else is doing and they want that position, they raise these rumors against them. They gossip behind their backs. Okay, go ahead.
12. And Moses sent to Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and they said, We will not come up. It is a small thing that thou hast brought us up out of the land.
Look what they're saying here.
Is it?
Is it such a small thing that you have brought us? Look what they're saying. Out of a land flowing with milk and honey. They're calling Egypt the land of milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness. Now you must make yourself a prince over us too? I mean, do you see how they twist words? This perfect politicians. They twist the words.
So, Peggy, my throat is a little dry right now. You want to continue, please?
Sure. Moreover, you've not brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, nor have you given us inheritance of fields and vineyards. Will you put out the eyes of these men? We will not come up. And Moses was really angry and said to the Lord, Don't respect their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them, nor have I hurt one of them. And we read the Haftorah portion is Samuel, and Samuel says exactly the same thing. I have not taken one donkey from these people. You know, when you give and you give and you give, those who don't give try to usurp the position because they're jealous. And Moses said to Korach, You and all your congregation come and be before the Lord tomorrow, and let every man bring his fire pan and put incense on it, and bring before the Lord every man. So they're going to come 250 fire pans. You also and Aaron, each of you bring your fire pan, your censer. And they took every man his fire pan and put fire in them and put incense on it. And they stood at the door of the Ochel Moed with Moses and Aaron. And Korach assembled the whole congregation against them at the door of the tent of meeting. So everybody is being roused up by these people, these leaders. Now, I don't know if it's true, but our sages in the Talmud, it talks about how There's an expression in Hebrew that says you're as wealthy, or he's as wealthy as Korach, because Korach was known to be very, very wealthy. In Egypt, one of the things that they say, one of the stories that's passed down, was that Korach was the intermediary between Egypt and the Jews, and the slaves were traded through him. So he gathered a lot of money. But then they're all assembled together. It says all the congregation were against them, against Moses and Aaron at the door of the tent of meeting. So who were all these people following? They followed the rebellious ones. And the glory of the Lord appeared to the whole congregation. I don't know what that looked like, but let me tell you, it must have been powerful. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, separate yourselves from this congregation, because I am going to consume them in 1 minute. And Moses and Aaron fell on their faces and says, O God, the God of the spirit of all flesh, shall one man sin, and will you be angry with the whole congregation? And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the congregation, and said, get away from the house, the dwelling, where Korach, Datan, and Abiram live. And Moses rose up and went to Datan and Abiram, and the elders followed him. And he spoke to the congregation, depart, I beg you, from the tents of these wicked men, and don't touch anything that's theirs, lest you be swept away in all their sins. So they got up from the dwelling. Everybody went away from Korach and Datan and Abiram. They settled themselves on every side. And Datan and Abiram came out, and they stood at the door of their tents with their wives and their sons and their little ones. And Moses says, by these things you shall know that the Lord has sent me to do all these works, and that I have not done them of my own mind. It's not my idea that I did it, but I was doing it to follow the Lord. If these men die, the common death of all men, just in an ordinary way, and are visited after the visitation of all men, then the Lord has not sent me. But if the Lord will do a new thing, and the ground opens her mouth and swallows them up with everything they have, and they go down alive into the pit, here it must be Sheol, here, into Sheol, then you will understand that it is these men who have despised me, despised the Lord. And it came to pass, as he finished speaking these words, that the ground opened up right under him like a great big sinkhole. And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up and their households and all the men who were gathered to Korach with everything that they had. So they and everything that they owned went down alive. They were like buried right in the pit. And then the earth closed up upon them, and they perished from among the assembly. And all the children of Israel that were around them fled at the cry of them, for they said, just in case the earth swallows us up too. And fire came forth from the Lord and devoured the 250 men who had offered the incense. So we can see when we are such anger and pride against God, there are consequences. But wait, it gets better. Watch this. Watch what happens next. You would think after these people had seen what God had done, that he was choosing Moses and Aaron and saving them, and not the others who rebelled against them. But look what they said. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, speak to Eleazar. Excuse me, I needed some sip of water. Speak to Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the Kohen, that he takes the fire pans out of the burning and scatter the fire yonder, for they are holy, even the fire pans of these men who have sinned at the cost of their lives. let them be made beaten plates. They had to take all the fire pans from the men who had just been burnt up by God, and here their plates that they were holding were beaten as a covering for the altar. For they have become like an offering before the Lord, as a sign before the children of Israel. And the sign is, don't test God in that way. And Eleazar the priest took the brazen fire pans, which they were that were burnt had offered, and they beaten out for a covering for the altar, as a memorial for the children of Israel, to the end that no common man, no one who is not from the seed of Aaron, would draw near to burn incense before the Lord. That was Aaron's job and his seed. No one else could do that. So when they later, when we see years later, at the time when they had the temple, and no longer were the priesthood from the children of Aaron, but these people had bought their position, it's no wonder that it says, he shall fare as Korach and his company, as the Lord spoke to him by the hand of Moses. So these people died because they were not allowed to do that.
Sorry, Peggy, if I understood, it's that he fare not as
Yes,
Korah?
but you have to read that in context.
Okay.
To be as a memorial to the children of Israel, to the end that no common men that he would fare not as Korach. If he goes near, the same thing would happen.
Right, it'll happen to him. But so Korach, okay, so he's taken that away from Korach. Now it's only through the descendants of Aaron.
It was never Korach's job. It was always Aaron. Korach wanted the priesthood.
Oh, he was just testing them at this point.
He was pushing.
Korach was a Levite, but it wasn't.
Exactly. He's saying, who is Moses and Aaron?
Right.
I'm a firstborn. They're not.
Right.
Why shouldn't I have that position? Because God knew his heart. God knew the covenant of Korach. He wasn't doing it because he wanted to serve. He was doing it because he wanted position and power. The next morning, all the congregation, listen to what happens next. The next morning, the whole congregation of the children of Israel murmur against Moses and Aaron, saying, you have killed the people of the Lord.
Wow.
Can you believe this?
Wow.
I mean, this is shocking. They just saw what God did to the people who rebelled. And now they're still blaming Moses and Aaron. Where is their brains? It's like today, I'm watching the insanity of the world. There's no more sense. They're blaming all the wrong people for everything.
Right.
It came to pass when the congregation was assembled against Moses and against Aaron, that they looked toward the tent of the meeting, and behold, the cloud covered it, and the glory, the kavod of the Lord appeared. And Moses and Aaron came to the front of the tent of meeting. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, get up from among this congregation, because I am going to consume them in one moment. He was fed up. God was fed up. You don't think God is fed up with people today? And they fell. Moses and Aaron fell on their faces. And Moses said to Aaron, take your fire pan, put fire on it from the altar, lay incense on it, carry it quickly to the congregation, and make atonement for them. Cover them, for there is anger gone out from the Lord. The plague has begun. We don't see plagues today.
I wonder if when we read this, like if you were to read a description of what's happening now, or what's happened with diseases all throughout the centuries, we might not necessarily see it as God. Like here we're seeing it like in a point form almost. It's already passed. So maybe God's hand is in all these things, but people who don't even believe in God wouldn't you're saying, why don't they see it so clearly? But if they don't really have a heart for God, they don't see it, maybe.
Exactly. But it's exactly the same with plagues in Egypt. They never saw that it was the hand of God. They
So
always,
here, what I'm when you responded and said, they're still saying to Moses and Aaron, how could you have killed these men? Or they're blaming Moses and Aaron and said
right,
they were following, they were holy, whatever. So they didn't really see because their heart is not with God.
right, exactly. And Moses took him, and Aaron took as Moses spoke, and ran in the midst of the assembly. And behold, the plague had begun among the people. He put incense on it, and he made atonement. He covered the here v'yikaper. He made a covering. He made it. He tried to make atonement for the people before God. He stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed. It was like like Aaron was the intermediary right here. But you see, they always say that Jesus died for the sins of mankind. But here, Aaron stood between the dead and the living and stopped the plague, but he didn't die. You don't
Not
need
only
that.
that, it's not that he took their sins.
No, he didn't.
Like Moses didn't take. It's like let's say your son or daughter has gotten into trouble and the school is going to give them 70 lashes, whatever, and you say, please, 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 let punish me or something. Not even punish me, but please, you try and stand between and
Yeah,
protect the
exactly.
covering.
Exactly. But look what happened. They that died by the plague were 14,700, besides those who had died with Korach, his whole family, the Tan and Abiram. That's a lot of people at that
Yeah.
time. That's a large percentage, of this amount of people. And Aaron returned to Moses to the door of the tent of meeting, and the plague was stayed. It had stopped. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, now hear what he's going to do. He's going to show the people who he's choosing as the head of the priesthood. Speak to the children of Israel. Tell them to take rods, one for each father's house, like they're taking each a staff, from all their princes according to their father's houses, 12. And you shall write every name upon his rod, so that they know who they are. And you need to write Aaron's name upon the rod of Levi, for thou shalt be one rod for the head of their father's houses. And they shall lay them up in the tent of meeting before the testimony where I will meet you. And it shall come to pass that the man whom now this is God speaking, whom I shall choose, his rod shall bud. And I will make to cease from me this way the murmurings, the gossip, the complaining from the children of Israel. They will have to stop the things that they are murmuring against you, because they're going to see once and for all who God was choosing. And Moses spoke to the children of Israel, and all their princes gave him rods, for each prince one according to their father's houses, 12 rods. And the rod of Aaron was among their rods. And Moses laid the rods before the Lord in the Ochel Ha'edut, in the tent of the testimony. And it came to pass on the next day that Moses went into the tent, Ochel Ha'edut, and behold, the rod of Aaron for the house of Levi had budded. It put forth buds and bloomed blossoms, and bore ripe almonds. So not only did it blossom, but overnight it had buds and blossomed, and all in one night, and gave forth almonds. So there was no way that you could deny that this was from God. And Moses brought out all the rods from before the Lord to the children of Israel, all the children, and they saw. And every man took his rod. And the Lord said to Moses, put back the rod of Aaron before the testimony. This was one of the things that was placed into the ark next to the Ten Commandments, to be kept there. This was a sign about the rebellious children, that there may be an end to their murmurings against me, so that they
See,
do not die. Yes,
with
Mary.
all that Aaron had done, like with the golden calf and all that, obviously he had a heart, a good, like a very loyal heart, good heart.
Exactly. Exactly. See, God doesn't judge us for the things.
I don't know why it was so hard for them.
What's going on? I hear noise in the background. Jerry, is that coming from you? Um, God doesn't judge us for the things that we do wrong. What he looks at is, what do we do about it after we do it wrong? Do we admit what we have done? Do we acknowledge what we've done? Do we ask for
Exactly.
forgiveness? And
Right.
do we want to make it right? Our God is a God of forgiveness and of new beginnings. That's how he sees. He knows our hearts.
Right.
Thus did Moses as the Lord commanded. And the children of Israel spoke to Moses and said, "Oh, behold, we perish. We're undone. We're all undone.
Mhm.
Everyone that comes near the tabernacle of the Lord is going to die. Shall we wholly perish?" You could platz from these people. 18. And the Lord said to Aaron, "You and your sons and your father's house with you shall bear the iniquity of the sanctuary. You and your sons with you shall bear the iniquity of your priesthood." So here you have Aaron and his sons. They they had to bear the burden of the people in the sanctuary. They were responsible for the people before God. They would be the intermediaries before God. And your brothers, also the tribe of Levi, the tribe of your father, bring near to me, with you, that they may be joined to you and to minister to you, you and your sons with you, in the tent of the testimony. So Levi, the tribe of Levi, were going to be servants of Aaron. Aaron was going to tell them what to do, and everything that had to happen in the tabernacle would be done. And they had very specific things. They would keep your charge. They would be in charge of all the tent. Only they shall not come near the holy furniture and unto the altar, so that they do not die. Not they or you. That was somebody else had to do that. They shall be joined to you and be in charge of the tent of meeting, whatever the service of the tent may be. But a common man shall not draw near to you. Now here it says common man, sorry, but in the Hebrew, zar is the word for a foreigner, a complete stranger. You shall be in charge of the holy things, and you shall be in charge of the altar, that no wrath shall come upon the children of Israel. So they had very specific things that they had to do, and they weren't glamorous, carrying poles, taking up and down all the things that were inside. We read that before, what they had to do. "Behold, I have taken your brothers, the Levites, from among the children of Israel, and for you they are given as a gift to the Lord, to do the service of the tent of meeting." In other words, their service is a gift to the Lord. "And you and your sons with you shall keep your priesthood in everything that pertains to the altar, to do within the veil." That they would go beyond the veil into the Holy of Holies. "And you shall serve. I give you the priesthood as a service of gift." It's a gift. Sometimes we complain when we have to serve other people. But truly, when God puts it on your heart, it's not a burden. It's a gift. "And the common man, the stranger, the zar," again, chazar, it sounds like chazar, the Chazar, who draws near shall be put to death.
When they say the common man, do they only mean the foreigner or just the non-Levites?
Um, it's a good question. I don't know.
Okay.
And the Lord spoke to Aaron, and behold, I put you in charge of the heave offerings. This is a specific type of offering. Again, I'm not sure which they were. We'd have to do a little bit of research into that. Even all of the holy things of the children of Israel have I given them as a consecrated portion, and to your sons as a due. So these offerings were to be set apart for Aaron and his sons, like part of the best parts of the animal. That's their fee, so to speak, for doing this kind of service. This shall be yours from the separated things reserved from the fire. Every offering of theirs, even the meal offerings, it was the grain offerings. They made challah or matzah, the sin offerings, from the animals, the guilt offerings from the animals, which they bring to you, shall be separated for you and for your sons. In a most holy place, in a very separate, the place that was the Holy of Holies, you shall eat it there, and every male shall eat thereof. It shall be holy to you. This is yours. The heave offering of the gift, the wave offerings of the children of Israel. So the children of Israel were being trained to take care of the Levites, to take care of the priesthood. They were responsible because they had no inheritance in the land. They had no land. They had no of their own. They would be taken care of. Just like now, we take care of our rabbis. We take care of our spiritual leaders. That's how I'm taken care of, because I'm a spiritual leader in my community. All the best of the oil. I eat only the finest olive oil, and the best of the wine and of the corn. The first part of them which they give to the Lord, to you I have given them. The first fruits of the land which they bring to the Lord shall be yours. Everyone who is clean in your house may eat of it. Tahor, who has a clean heart. Everyone who is set apart to serve will eat of these first fruits. Everything devoted in Israel is yours. Everything that opens the womb of flesh, here we're going to see the Bechor, the first fruit, the first which they offer to the Lord, both man and beast, shall be yours. The firstborn of man shall surely be redeemed. That's where we get the Pidyon Haben. And the first of the unclean beasts shall you redeem. Of the unclean beasts. Interesting. Shall you redeem. I don't know what that means. Ha-tameh. Tiferet. Interesting. What do they do with that? Because I thought they couldn't eat the unclean beasts.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't understand. I'm going to
Howbeit
have to
the
look into this.
firstborn of man,
The firstborn of
and
man
the
you shall
firstling of
redeem.
unclean beasts.
You shall redeem. I guess they sell them. And their
Yeah, it
redemption
doesn't say
money.
you eat them.
No, they sell them. The redemption money from a month old, you shall redeem them, shall be according to the valuation. 5 shekels of silver after the shekel of the sanctuary. The same is 20 gerah. But the firstling of an ox, that they can eat, or the first fruit, the firstling of the sheep, or of a goat, you shall not redeem. They are holy. You shall take some of their blood, sprinkle it on the altar, make the fat smoke as an offering before God for a sweet savor to the Lord. And again, remember, the sweet savor is not the fact that we're killing an innocent animal, but when you bring an offering to the Lord, it means you have acknowledged something that you've done wrong, and you are going before God, and he's the sweet savor for him is seeing that you're coming to him and you're acknowledging that you want to make things right. And the flesh of them shall be yours. So this is what they're giving. As the waved breast and the right thigh, it shall be yours. So they're getting that portion, and the rest will go to the children of Israel. The heave offerings of the holy things which the children of Israel offer to the Lord, I've given you and your sons and your daughters as a Jew. You've earned it forever. It's an everlasting covenant. Look at this, of salt. It's Brit HaMelech, Melach, before the Lord, to you and your seed with you. Meaning, this is your salary. And the Lord said to Aaron, you shall have no inheritance in their land, neither shall you have any portion among them. I am your portion and your inheritance among the children of Israel. See, if we had accepted this instead of wanting a king, a human king, if we accepted Aaron as the intermediary between King Adonai, our King God, we would never be in the problems that we are in today. And to the children of Levi, behold, I've given all the tithe in Israel for an inheritance. So the children of Israel would bring a tithe to take care of them in return for their service, which they serve, even the service in the tent of meeting. And from now on, the children of Israel shall not come near the tent of meeting, lest they bear sin and die, because it was only for the Levites and for the Kohanim.
So is he saying before that they did come close? It says from now on the children of Israel.
Yeah, because he saw, they probably could approach, but now they couldn't even come near after the rebellion that he had just seen.
Right.
Every time they rebel, they have more and more restrictions. The Levites alone shall do the service of the tent of meeting, and they shall bear their iniquity. This is a statute, a chukat, olam, forever, throughout their generations, ledorotechem. And among the children of Israel they shall have no inheritance. For the tithe of the children of Israel, which they have set apart as a gift to the Lord, I have given to the Levites as an inheritance. Therefore I have said to them, among the children of Israel, they shall have no inheritance. So God is training the children of Israel to give. We are some of the biggest givers in the world. Many of our people today no longer give. They go to synagogue. Those who go to synagogue will pay the fees, the dues in the synagogue, but they've lost the sense of tithing. And I'm glad that in our community we've continued to understand the gift of tithing. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, moreover, you shall speak to the Levites and say to them, here the Levites are going to be tithing. When you take from the children of Israel the tithe, which I have given you from them for your inheritance, then you shall set apart of it a gift for the Lord, even a tithe of the tithe. And the gift which you shall set apart shall be reckoned to you. It's going to be counted as though it was the corn of the threshing floor, as the fullness of the winepress. And you shall set apart a gift to the Lord of all your tithes which you receive from the children of Israel, and you shall give the gift which is set apart to Aaron the priest. Out of all that is given to you, you shall set apart all which is due to the Lord, the best, always the best, even the holiest part you shall take from it. And you shall say to them, when you set apart the best from it, then it shall be counted to the Levites as the increase of the threshing floor and as the increase of the winepress, and you may eat it in every place, you and your household, for it is your reward in return for your service in the tent of meeting. And you shall bear no sin by reason of it, seeing that you have set apart from it the best of it. and you shall not profane the holy things of the children of Israel, that you do not die. So God is taking care of those who do his service. And for that, I need to be grateful because I do his service in this community. And I am grateful that I'm being taken care of. Thank you,
Yeah.
Lord. That's how we used to take care of our rabbi. And we don't have many Kohanim who are serving in our community, although I would love it if we had some more who would join us and be able to serve. But that's in God's hands, not in mine. But we see that there's a price for our kvetching, for our murmuring, for our not being happy and grateful for what we have. And that's why God says, don't covet, don't speak behind the back of others. All this is part of the Ten Commandments. It's
Again,
all
what you said before, it's when we see these things in ourselves, because obviously we're not perfect, we're going to see these things, how we break every commandment. It's more important what we do with our own nature and how we respond to it. That's really important, that we see and we say that, and we try and make it right. Because often people with pride, I've seen so many people say, I've never committed, I give, I do this, I do that. They don't see what it means really, and how you respond when you see you've done wrong or you think wrong, whatever.
exactly.
It's more important.
Remember the story of the widow's mite?
Right.
In the New Testament, it talks about when Yeshua was at the temple and he saw this very Orthodox Pharisee, and he was standing there in his big robes and his tzitzit down to the ground, and he stood there and he said, I tithe 3 times a week, and I give to this and I give to that, and then you see this widow who had very little come over and put one coin in the pushka, and Yeshua said, surely that woman has given far more than that man in all his pride. She's given.
Give us 10%.
Well, it seemed that she gave even more. The story was called The Widow's Mite. She gave of all that she had. She gave from her heart. And you see that very often. People who have less give more. And people who are very wealthy, they give very little. And what they do give, they want to make sure their name is everywhere. It's shown on the bench. It's shown on the walls. Look what I did. So God knows our hearts. We can't fool him. We may fool others, but not him. What did you say, Brian?
He gives him he gives he thinks he's giving a 10% of the tithe. He's giving less than what he should give. He's rich.
Exactly.
Something like that girl here. She's rich and she don't give anything. She boils from the Mata food, and she should be paying him money for a donation. She
Yeah,
don't give them.
exactly. But a lot of people don't. First of all, we weren't trained as children. I never knew about it growing up. I only learned about it after I started reading the Bible in my 40s. And I'll never forget when I read in Malachi, what God says, you know, test me in this, bring your tithes and offerings into the storehouse and test me in this and see if I will not pour out the storehouses of heaven so that you cannot even move. And I watched God do that. Oh my goodness, everything that I had lost from all my very poor decisions, he just restored. It's like that verse in Joel. He will restore the years that the locust has
Yeah, I
eaten.
love that verse.
Me too. I love it, and he does it. And it's like, but it's funny because it isn't a boast. I was telling you, Miriam, today when we went to help Mildred, and it was a beautiful sunny day, and I could have gone to the pool, to Hampstead Pool, and gone swimming. It's a summer day. It's gorgeous. And instead, you and I went, and we took her to have her ear fixed for her to a hearing aid put in, and then we brought her home, and then we took her shopping, and inside me there was no sense of how what's the word of
Burden.
it wasn't a burden. And I didn't do that because normally when I don't want to do something, I feel it. What am I doing here? But it wasn't there. It
Right.
was like the service was coming from the right place. But I didn't do that because I can't do that in my own nature. So I know when 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 God is at work, and I see that in every aspect of my life. It's just
Right.
and it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It's constant little shifts in our paradigm as we learn and we see what the Bible is saying. And we have to make conscious decisions not to speak against others, not to complain to God. Why does this one have this and I don't have it? Why are they doing this and I'm not doing that? We have to really be careful in our lives and give God thanks for everything. We may not agree with everything that He's asking us to do, but we better check our hearts and see, why is He asking it? Why would He say that? And not be stubborn about it, because there are consequences for our stubborn pride. Yes, Baruch.
The thing about the dying thing that I gotta do. What if I die and I didn't even make the spill through? Do I get a pauper's box?
You mean your funeral?
Yeah,
Has it been taken care of?
I don't know. You know?
Okay, we'll find out. Don't worry about it. Well, I'll talk to you about it later. Does it have something to do with the portion? Are you worried you're going to die quick because you spoke against
Well,
somebody?
I don't know if I'm gonna make it to 76,
Nobody knows.
26,
Nobody knows how long
because what's
we have.
Bubba invite me to the
He
wedding.
invited you to his wedding
Oh, yeah, now
in 2 years from now. You know what? All we have is one day. If we made it through today, we have the hope we'll make it through tomorrow. You
Yeah.
know what? We don't know. Uh, they may decide to throw a bomb, a nuclear war, and boom, we're gone. I don't mind. It'll
He's
be a
gonna,
fast way. I don't have to pay for a funeral.
hey, on the carry, Bill Wong's place.
Bill Wong?
You know that Chinese restaurant, and
What
then
is?
house
Okay.
hotel,
Yeah.
one of those rooms there.
What is?
There used
Oh,
to be
you mean the conservative, the place that they used to do bury people? They're not there anymore. You mean where the old Miss
no,
Montreal used to be?
no, not there. It's across from the Orange Julep.
Across from the Orange Julep.
what are you saying,
What are
Brian,
you
about the
talking
Bill
about? What
Wong
does it have to
place?
do with this, Brian?
Are you saying they're renting it for their wedding?
Yeah, in that hotel with that
Okay.
Oh,
certain
that's
look.
where they want to have their wedding.
Okay,
Yeah.
Brian, this has nothing to do, and there's people who are watching this. We're talking about something that they have no idea what you're talking about. So that's a personal conversation that we'll have at another time. Okay? Jerry, do you have anything to add from what you heard tonight? Because usually you have wise comments about things. You just have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. No, I just have a question. I like you use that word paradigm,
Yes.
which means different model or what?
Different way of thinking.
Different way of thinking. And also you mentioned something about you would like more Cohen's. Your group, you don't make a distinction between the Cohens and Levites in Israel, do you?
No.
So
No.
so you mentioned that in what context?
Oh, yeah, but it's just um, to have more people um, who love to follow the Torah. People who know God. It's not easy to find these days. When we named our community Shear Yashuv, it probably was a little more prophetic than we realized. Because I mean, when you look at those who've always followed God, they haven't been popular with the people. Look at Moses and Aaron. The entire way They had to fight against the majority. Every one of our prophets have been killed. Even our Rabbi Yeshua, whose character has been so dramatically changed by Christianity and by Islam, by other religions. Rabbi Yeshua was a rabbi, and he was constantly persecuted for speaking up and saying, our sages say this, the tradition of the elders say this, but this is what I tell you. So he had the chutzpah to speak up against what the rabbis have said. And it's not an easy thing to do. Sometimes I'll go and talk to Orthodox Jews, and sometimes I'm a little bit afraid because I'm afraid they're going to stone me if I tell them what I really think. Like the fact is that, they, how they have said that, we were talking about abortion, and why they aren't standing up with others. I just read tonight that there are Christians and Muslims who are in Alberta who are going to the school board and standing up against all this type of sexuality that's being taught in the schools. They don't want it. It's not to be taught in schools. It's to be taught at home. Our children are not learning properly. So, if I go to the rabbi and say, why have you taken away the fact that Jews can only come from the mother and not from the father, or that Caleb was a Gentile. He's not a Jew. Who am I to argue with the sages? And that's what they're going to say. And who are you to say they're wrong? All I'm doing is reading it in the Torah. So we need to read what it's actually saying so that we know when anybody says it, no matter how educated they are, we have to question. God wants us to question.
I'm on 24:10 about the woman who's Jewish and his son make trouble towards God.
Yeah.
I'm on that portion.
So anyway, for us, when a ger, when a Gentile, and we have people in our community who have left the church because they don't want to follow a religion anymore. They want to be like Ruth with the God of Israel. And the God of Israel gave us his book. He gave us his commandments. He didn't give us the Talmud. That's added. And the Torah says, do not add and do not take away from my word. We have so many people who are relying on the extra books, like today it's so popular, the Kabbalah is so popular. We have all this mystical stuff. Learn how to walk on earth in practicality. Learn how to come down to earth and do the right thing before you start seeking all the mystical things. It's easy to hide in mysticism. It's easy to hide in religiosity and not deal with what we have to deal with on a general basis every single day. Because we need paradigm shifts. Miriam and I talk about that all the time. We used to think this way, and oh my goodness, now all of a sudden I'm seeing it a different way. We need to be open to hearing from God, watching what he's doing, and not be afraid. Because the earth, the world right now is going to go through some very heavy changes. We're going to continue on a downward spiral. But those who walk with God are in an upward spiral. And he'll protect us. He'll take care of us. Even if it means we have to die. I'm not afraid. I just don't want to suffer. Because I'm a big chicken. Anyway, so that's...
But you know that song, the Windmills of Your Mind?
Yes. round like the circle in a spiral, like the
Like
wheel within a wheel, never ending or beginning, on an ever spinning reel, like a snowball down a mountain or a carnival balloon, like a carousel that's turning, running rings around the moon, like a clock whose hands are beating past the minutes of its face, and the world is like an echo whirling silently in space, like the beauty that you find in the windmills of your mind. I love that song. Good, I'm going to do it. I forgot about it. I'm going to put that down. Thank you, Jerry, for reminding me. Okay, I got to find that.
when are you planning your next
Actually, I have a concert tomorrow
Oh, that's a beautiful song. Where's your
Yeah.
concert?
at the B'nai B'rith house.
That's live, eh?
Live. I'm going there, yeah.
They don't do a hybrid, eh?
No, no, because they're too separate, and many of them are too old. They don't have computers, so they go down. All right. So, are you ready to read the Aaronic benediction and bless us?
Okay, I'm going to just say it from mine. So the English is, blessed art thou, O Lord our God, who has sanctified Kohanim to bless the people Israel with love. Baruch ato Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu bikdushasoy shel Aaron v'tzivonu levarech es amo Yisrael be'ahavo.
Amen.
Yevarechecho Adonai v'yishmerecho Yoel Adonai.
Panavalecha,
I'm going to go get my book.
panavalecha v'yuchoneka.
Yeah.
Do you
Yes,
want?
I know.
I have it here.
Yeah, I'm going to get that book.
Okay. Dead space.
Huh?
Dead space.
Whose?
Dead space. Doesn't matter. Not
Oh,
important.
Adonai.
No, 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 no. This is what's called dead
If I
space. Dead
if I
space.
Dead air.
Yeah.
if I said it quickly, I would know it. Anyway, we should start over.
No, don't start it. Just the last part.
No, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say the bracha. Just the Yevarechecho.
Okay.
Yevarechecho Adonai v'yishmerecho Yoel Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka Yiso Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom v'samu et shemi al b'nei Yisrael v'ani arborchem.
Amen. May the Lord
Amen.
bless you and keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift his countenance upon you and give you his shalom. So shall they put his name upon the children of Israel, and he will bless us. So until next week, have a wonderful rest of the week. Enjoy the beautiful weather while we have it. And next week we're going to talk about, I think it's a double portion, Balak. No, it's, hang on. It's Hukat Balak. Hukat Balak next time. So thank you all for being with us. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your good questions. And we'll see you again soon. And from Wednesday on, we can wish you Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.